Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual public informational meeting for state project number 147-62, replacement of bridge number 04085 on Forge Hill Road in the town of Voluntown, Connecticut. If you see below, there's a project email. There's a project email, a phone number to call and leave voicemail messages, and we encourage you to visit the project webpage. A recording of this presentation will be posted after the live event. Closed caption, including non-English translation options, will be available at that time. Here's a quick slide on how to view the captions and subtitles on Zoom. My name is Mark Burns, and I'm the project manager for the local bridge program at the Department of Transportation. And here's my contact information. This is a slide regarding Title VI and civil rights. No person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. We highly encourage you to fill out the post-meetings survey. You can use the QR code or the link below. And then there's also a link to the Civil Rights Title VI information from the Office of Equity. A recording of this presentation will be posted to YouTube after the event. This is another slide regarding Title VI. And also in Spanish. The goals for tonight's meeting will be to interact with the project team, to explain the federal local bridge program, design managed by state or DMS program. We'll have welcoming remarks by the first selectwoman for the town of Voluntown, introductions of the project team, followed by a formal presentation of the design progress, where we will explain the condition of the existing bridge and define the purpose and need for its replacement and to recommend a viable proposal. Please bear in mind that we are at only 30% complete, and this is the time when we present plans to the public to solicit input. Following the presentation, we'll have an open forum for your questions. Here's a quick slide on how to use the Q&A function in Zoom. Here's another slide on how to reach out to us to ask a question. You can reach us by email at dot-flbp@ct.gov, by phone at 860-594-2020. This is a voicemail line that is monitored by the department, or during the live Zoom event through the Zoom Q&A. You can also You can also reach out to us via email and send comments. The comment period is open until March 5th, 2024. The funding for this project is through the Federal Local Bridge Program, Design Managed by State, or DMS program. In the past, the Federal Local Bridge Program funded municipally owned structures with 80% federal dollars and 20% town dollars for design, rights-of-way, and construction. In the DMS program, design, rights-of-way, and construction phases are funded with 80% federal and 20% state funds. All phases of the project are at zero cost to the town. And while we are taking the lead on the design and the costs, it is still a full partnership and coordination with the town. The goals of the DMS program were to provide a streamlined approach to design using DOT resources, to aid towns to keep their bridges in a state of good repair, to decrease typical to design time, and to utilize accelerated bridge construction, or ABC techniques, to shorten construction duration, and to increase the number of municipal projects delivered to construction each year. I'll now turn it over to Tracy Hansen for Selectwoman for the town of Voluntown. Tracy?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight and welcome. I'm good to see so many people here, and I encourage everyone to use the chat box to ask questions. And thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. I'll now introduce the department's project team. On the top left is Bart Sweeney, our Division Chief of Bridges, followed by Derek Lassard, Principal Engineer of the CLE Group. As I said previously, I'm Mark Burns, the Project Manager in the CLE Group, or Local Bridge Program. To the right is Andrew Shields, Project Engineer. Below is Zach Arino, our Office of Rights-of-Ways Project Coordinator. And from CHA Consulting are Anand Seshadri, Project Manager, and Rochelle Clark, Project Engineer. Here's a brief slide showing the structural elements of a bridge. On the top, you will see the deck and parapet, which is what carries the traveling public and also prevents vehicles or pedestrians from hazards with the parapets. The deck and parapet are supported by the superstructure, which in this picture is steel beams. Supporting the superstructure and deck are abutments, as shown on the left, which will also have wing walls for earth retention. In some cases, depending on the span length, there will be a pier, in either a singular pier or multiple piers. These comprise the substructure, and depending on the type of stone underneath, they'll be founded on piles or will be used just with standard concrete spread footings. The bridges are rated on a condition scale of 1 to 9, with 9 being an excellent and 1 being an imminent failure. But please don't let that concern you, because if there was any issues, the bridges are monitored by the department and we would inform the town if there was a pending hazard. Here are some examples of concrete deterioration, and depending on the type of the cause of the deterioration. Efflorescence is caused by reaction within the concrete, creating that white substance that you see. Honeycombing is usually a sign from freeze thaw. Scaling is from usually seen on the wearing surface or on the road, caused by wear and tear. I cannot see the bottom two, but we have spalling, which is shown by as concrete cracking gets more severe, then more concrete will pop off, exposing the reinforcing steel that's underneath. And then there's some other types of cracking that will happen from settlement and different weight loads on the concrete. I'll now turn over the formal presentation to Rochelle. Rochelle, you may begin.
Thank you, Mark. As Mark noted, this project is the replacement of bridge number 4805, which is Forge Hill Road over Pachaug River. This is a quick photo of the bridge taken from the side. In terms of the location, as you can see, we have a map. North is up on this particular page, and you can see Forge Hill Road comes down. It crosses over the Pachaug River, and it intersects with Wiley School Road to the west and North Shore Road to the east. A couple of features in the area include Finn Beach to the northeast of the bridge. We also have Beach Pond Dam, which is east of the bridge. One other element in this picture is that in addition to our bridge here at the intersection of the roads, there is also a private downstream river crossing. So we do have some features adjacent to our bridge that do control some of that affect the waterway in addition to our bridge. Again, that's Beach Pond Dam and a private downstream crossing. Our existing bridge is currently operating with one-way alternating traffic. This is a photo of the bridge taken at the intersection of Wiley School Road, Forge Hill Road, and North Shore Road. And this is looking south over the bridge. As you can see, we have a stop sign here. And if you can read that sign, it's a little bit small in the photo. It says one-lane bridge. So currently the bridge is one-way alternating. The width of the bridge is, so from curb to curb, the bridge is 20 feet wide. This is substandard. Federal standards are 22 feet and state standards are 22 feet as well. The ADT, which is the average daily traffic, so the number of vehicles that cross the bridge, is approximately 651 vehicles. Those traffic counts were taken in November of 2022. The speed limit in the area is 25 miles per hour. So Forge Hill Road is 25 miles per hour, and that is our design speed. When the traffic counts were done, the speeds were also taken. It was determined that the 85th percentile speed is 19 miles per hour. What that means is that 85% of the cars are going 19 miles per hour or slower. This bridge is classified as a rural local road. In terms of our existing bridge, it was constructed in 1920, which makes it about 104 years old, so it's a fairly old structure. It was repaired in 2022. There was an accident that damaged the north bridge rail. Our span length, which is from abutment to abutment, is 20 feet. Our bridge components that you can see here in this photo are the superstructure, which is a concrete slab. This is slightly different than the picture that Mark showed earlier where there were steel beams. This is actually a solid concrete slab. That concrete slab is supported on abutments, and those abutments are then supported on spread footings that are assumed to be supported by soil. Obviously in this footing, they're below water and they can't be seen. In terms of load restrictions, there are no load restrictions on this bridge currently. In terms of hydraulics, the bridge is inadequate for a 100-year storm. Currently, we have a 19.7 foot clear span. And so that 19.7 feet is from the face of one abutment to the face of the other abutment. And this is less than 30 feet, which is what would be required to meet standards. And that standard is 1.2 times bank full width. And bank full width is a way of talking about the river when it is running kind of in an ordinary state, how high how wide those banks are with ordinary water flowing through them. The current bridge, because you have a structure on the bridge, it's going to affect the river, and that causes backwater. We want that backwater to be less than a foot. The existing bridge actually does not have any issues with backwater. The backwater is 0.2 feet, which is less than that 1 foot maximum standard. The bridge currently has 0 feet of underclearance, and that is less than the 1 foot minimum that we're looking for. And what we mean by underclearance is we mean the space underneath the bridge when water is flowing in a 100-year storm elevation. So on our bridge, you can see the bottom chord is located, at basically at the base of the superstructure. And then we have a dashed line here showing where our approximate 100-year storm is. And then we do note there's no underclearance for a 100-year storm, which is what's meant here. The bridge is most likely scour critical. We have performed a scour analysis on the bridge, and what we have found is that the material that's in the bridge or that makes up the riverbed is, a small material that has the potential in a very large, very strong storm to be washed away. So the bridge is most likely scour critical, although it's not necessarily designated as such currently. In terms of the most recent bridge inspection, the bridge was inspected in August of 2022. On the right-hand side, you'll see a table of numbers, and this is what Mark was referring to when he was talking about those bridge ratings, condition ratings from 1 to 9. So looking at our bridge, our deck, which basically because it's covered with a bituminous or asphalt overlay is really kind of the condition of that overlay. That's currently rated to be fair and was given a rating of 5. Looking at our superstructure, this is where we begin to see problems. This is in poor condition and has been given a rating of 4. Our substructure is in fair condition, rated at a 5. Our approaches are also in fair condition, rated at a 5, and the channel and channel protection are satisfactory, rated as a 6. Currently, you'll see that the bridge railing is rated a 7. That is related to the condition of the railing. Our bridge railing currently does not meet the current safety standards. So if this bridge were to be built today, the railing would look quite a bit different. These are some photos of our site. In the top left photo, this is the west elevation of our bridge. This is the outlet side of the bridge. On the top right is the east elevation of the bridge. This is the inlet side of the bridge. Looking south over the bridge, you can see, again, that stop sign that I pointed out before. From the other direction, the photo in the bottom right is looking north over the bridge. The top left photo is Forge Hill Road, kind of in an area where we're trying to demonstrate that this has a fairly sharp curve as you come down Forge Hill Road. This is a tight radius as you approach the bridge and cross over. A couple other things to know is that there are 2 driveways immediately adjacent to the bridge. In the top right photo, we have a view of a skewed T intersection and poor condition of the overlay. You can see that the asphalt has broken up a little bit here. And again, this is an intersection where people come down and swing around to the right, and it kind of makes a hairpin turn. It's a skewed intersection as opposed to being a true T intersection where you've got that 90 degrees. The bottom left photo is the Western Bridge Rail. Where the arrow is pointing, this is where the curb was damaged in the accident, and this was the portion that was repaired. The bottom right photo is the Eastern Bridge Rail. No damage to that one, but again, this is a substandard bridge rail. The top left photo is the eastern approach to the intersection. So as you're traveling down North Shore Road toward the bridge, this is what you would see. The west approach is in the top right photo. This is what you would see if you were traveling on Wiley School Road and approaching the bridge. The next 2 photos have more to do with the condition of the bridge. So the bottom left photo is the general view of the slab underside. So this kind of gives you an idea of what the bridge would look like if you were able to get under and kind of look up toward the underside of the superstructure. The next photo, this is taken closer to the edge. And what you see here is you see stalactites that have formed as water has dripped through the cracks in the concrete. It's brought minerals with it and formed those stalactites. So these are the kinds of things that we see that are indicating that the superstructure is in poor condition and showing its age. The southwest wing wall is shown in the top left photo. This, again, you can see that there is a large amount of efflorescence. That's, again, areas where the concrete has cracked and water has flown through it and taken dissolved minerals with it and then deposited it on the surface of the wing wall. All 4 wing walls look pretty similar to this photo. The top right photo shows the north abutment. Again, you can see those stalactites from the cracks, but this photo was really meant to show you the condition of the abutments. And again, those abutments are in satisfactory condition. The photo in the bottom left is what if you're standing on the bridge and you're looking upstream, so looking east, this is what the river looks like. In the bottom right-hand photo, we have a view of the downstream channel. So this is looking toward the west. So in terms of the project and why it was initiated, there are several needs for this particular project. One is to restore two-way traffic. Another is to address the poor condition of the superstructure. Also to address scour and just make sure that we're not concerned about any material washing away during a large storm in the riverbed. We also need to determine the load rating capacity to confirm adequacy to carry legal loads and emergency vehicles, replace that substandard bridge rail that was damaged in the accident in 2022, provide a 22-foot wide roadway that meets current standards. We were also asked by the town to provide a 5-foot 6-inch sidewalk on the east side of the bridge. And we also we're looking to improve that intersection, that skewed T intersection, and make that a better configuration. So in terms of being able to address all of these things, our proposed rehabilitation is to fully replace the bridge. Despite the deficiencies, the bridge is safe for travel, traveling to the public, and again, is inspected by Connecticut DOT on a regular basis. For our proposed improvements, we are proposing a pre-stressed concrete solid deck beam bridge. This will provide two-way traffic with a 22-foot wide roadway. This bridge is anticipated to have a 75-year service life with minimal maintenance. It will carry AASHTO design, legal, and permit vehicles, as well as emergency vehicles. The pile foundations that are proposed for the project will be designed for scour. It will have an open bridge rail and an approach rail system meeting current standards. If you see the bottom photo on the right, this is a concrete bridge. So you can see this portion right here. This is what a concrete beam looks like from the side. An open bridge rail, this black rail is an open bridge rail. And then in the top left, you can see another photo showing that open bridge rail. In terms of the bridge functionality, we are proposing that 5-foot sidewalk that the town requested. The square we're intending to take that skewed T intersection and square it up to improve that intersection and also to improve roadway drainage. We're looking also to improve the hydraulic performance by widening the structure. It'll have a 34-foot span, which gives us a 30-foot 6-inch clear span. Again, that's face of abutment to face of abutment. And that will give us 1.2 times our bank full width and meet current standards. We also are our bridge reduces the backwater elevation. Currently, there's about 0.2 feet of backwater. Our proposed bridge will take that down to 0 compared to natural conditions. In terms of improved aesthetics, we are proposing form liner. The top left photo shows kind of what concrete form liner looks like. And we're also proposing this open bridge rail that will be metallized to the town's color choice. So the one in the photo is black, but this can be another color if the town chooses. So our concrete solid deck beam bridge is comprised of 6 concrete deck beams. So overall, looking at this cross section of the bridge, you'll see that it is 31 feet out to out. And that is comprised of 2 11-foot lanes, our 5-foot 6-inch sidewalk, and then 2 1-foot 9-inch bridge rails. And that is that's supported by our 6 solid concrete deck beams, which are joined by closure pours. The bridge is protected with a spray applied waterproofing membrane that is then topped with an asphaltic topping layer. This is an overview of the proposed bridge layout. Just to run through some of these colors real quick, orange is our proposed bridge and sidewalk. The gray is the proposed substructure. Yellow is the proposed approach roadway and intersection. The green are areas of proposed fill. The tan color is are areas of proposed cut where material would be removed. The blue is the water course. Purple is wetlands. So that's what's shown in these areas of purple for the wetlands. And then the darker brown are the driveways that are adjacent to the project. The pink line shows where there will be metal beam rail. The red lines are rights-of-way lines, so these are property lines. The green lines indicate the areas of drainage easements. Blue lines indicate areas of partial takes, and purple indicates areas of temporary construction easements. So looking at this plan of the bridge, you can see that we have a 34-foot span. The bridge is slightly set on a skew. So when we actually look at the clear span, again, face of abutment, perpendicular to face of abutment, that distance is 30 feet 6 inches. The orange, again, is our superstructure. The gray is our substructure, and this has U-shaped wing walls. And the yellow is our roadway. This is a photo of or a picture of the bridge taken from an elevation view. Again, you can see that we have our 30-foot span. We have our superstructure with our 3-tube open bridge rail. We have wing walls on both sides, and we've indicated our form liners to give it that stone look. We also have bridge rail that attach, or I'm sorry, metal beam rail that attaches to each ends of the beam of the bridge. And then our wing walls and our abutments are supported on pile caps. Those pile caps in turn are supported on piles, and those piles will go down to bedrock, and all of that will be designed for scour. In terms of our proposed roadway plan, the colors are very similar for this. One of the first things you will notice is that the bridge alignment has changed significantly. So one of the things that was a controlling factor in the design of this project was the driveway that is immediately north of the intersection. So because we have that driveway there, we really couldn't raise up the road and make the bridge higher to allow more water underneath the bridge. We were pretty much limited to, making sure that the property here could maintain their existing driveway. So that drove a lot of our preliminary design and how the roadway it didn't raise or lower. We are widening the bridge, and in order to get that additional width, the bridge was expanded to the south. I do need to step back a minute. One of the things that I forgot to mention is that in these plans, north is to the right, and I apologize for not explaining that earlier. That is a little bit confusing, that if you were to come down the roadway and cross the bridge, you would be moving from the south to the north. So if you are on this page and you are on the left-hand side, this is actually south, and over here is north. And again, I apologize. I should have explained that with the first plan of the bridge. So the bridge is being widened, and that widening is happening to the south. These are a couple of depictions of the proposed roadway profiles. The main point in showing you these profiles is just to show you again that roadway, Forge Hill Road, Wiley School Road, North Shore Road, that none of those roads are moving upward significantly. So those profiles are being smoothed out a little bit, but they're basically being maintained. And again, that is to avoid, specifically that driveway that's north of the bridge, but the other two driveways also that are to the south of the bridge. In terms of maintaining traffic through this area during the construction of the bridge, we do have a temporary bridge proposed. So our colors here are slightly different. Orange is our proposed bridge. Gray, which is actually, you really can't quite see it, but is the substructure for the temporary bridge. The yellow is the proposed roadway that would be in use during the temporary bridge. The green is fill areas, blue is water course, purple again is wetlands. This area here that is gray, this is hatched a little bit, and that indicates our work area. So that's where the old bridge is going to be removed and the new bridge is going to be installed. Areas where we have yellow and it's hatched over, those are areas where we'll have temporary pavement for temporary widening of the road or temporary roadway for that temporary bridge. And then pink are the existing driveways, just to kind of give you an idea of where those driveways are in relation to the bridge. Again, the red dashed lines are our property lines, and the purple lines are our temporary construction easements. So a couple of things to note about this bridge is that we are proposing a 14-foot wide bridge. So that's not wide enough for 2 lanes of traffic. It'll be alternating one-way traffic similar to what's out there now. The biggest difference is that this will be stoplight controlled as opposed to being stop sign controlled. So there will be detectors that will detect vehicles and, turn the lights on, from green to red as appropriate to allow traffic from the 3 different roads. This bridge will accommodate the town's emergency vehicle. We looked at the largest fire truck the town has. It will be able to cross this bridge without a problem. We are anticipating that it will cross this way, but go home, go home a little bit longer route, which we'll get into in a minute. But it also will accommodate pickups towing buses, or sorry, pickups towing boats for those people who are headed to the boat launch, and school buses as well. The one thing that the temporary bridge does not accommodate are large tractor trailers. So we do have a proposed detour for trucks. It's a 7.5 mile detour, and it's anticipated to be in place for somewhere around 2 construction seasons. So that detour goes up Route 49 and then comes down Wiley School Road back to the bridge. And so when we have emergency vehicles, they will cross the bridge to get where they're going, but on their way back to the fire station, they will need to take this longer route for the larger trucks. In terms of utility and environmental impacts, we do have overhead utilities in this area, so those wires will have to be temporarily relocated. In terms of environmental impacts, there will be tree clearing along the roadway. There will be temporary and permanent wetland and watercourse impacts, so those areas both in blue and purple that we saw will be impacted, and we will also have best management practices for fish and wildlife. The photo on the top right is an eastern hognose state. This is a species of concern that is in the area. So the contractor will have, there'll be special provisions in the contract for this particular species. The contractor will need to make sure that they walk the project site before they start work in the morning and look for the snakes. If there are snakes in the area that are in the way, they'll be relocated to areas, in the vicinity. So there are some very specific things that the contractor will be required to do to protect this particular species. In terms of environmental permits, what we're anticipating is a Town of Voluntown inland wetland permit, Connecticut DEEP flood management certification for municipalities, and a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers pre-construction notification. And this is an area where there have been, historic buildings. And so an archaeological phase 1 assessment was done for the bridge site. So there were three structures that were identified as historic as part of that. One is a mill building. This is located along North Shore Road, a little bit east of the project site. The residential structure that's immediately north of the intersection is also an older building and was identified as a historic property. And then that particular property also had the footprint of a demolished barn. So that was also identified as a resource. So Connecticut DOT expects to reach a finding of no historic properties affected for this undertaking under Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act. Although 3 older structures stand about the area potential effect, and an 18th to 20th century archaeological resource associated with those structures were documented in the course of former cultural resource field survey, the consultant found that none of these resources rise to the level of eligibility for the National Register of Historic Places. The Connecticut DOT Office of Environmental Planning concurs with this finding. In terms of rights-of-way impacts, so this, this work is going to affect the neighboring properties. There are 3 properties, one to the north of the bridge. Again, this plan north is oriented to the right. One property to the north of the bridge, one property to the northwest or the southwest of the bridge, and another property to the southeast of the bridge. So looking at the impacts, because of the new alignment of the bridge, there will be a small portion of property that will need to be taken to accommodate both the substructure as well as the town's need to maintain the structure. There are 3 areas that will require drainage easements as part of the project. There are 3 areas of construction easement on the properties. The largest construction easement is to the southwest of the bridge, and that's primarily to accommodate the construction of the temporary bridge In addition to that, there are some rights that will be required. So there will be a right to grade that just makes sure that the proposed grades smoothly transition to the grades on the adjacent properties. There will also be the right to reconstruct driveways. There are 3 driveways in the area that will be impacted by the construction. And then last will be the right to install and maintain sedimentation and erosion control fencing. At this time, I'm going to turn the project over, the presentation over to Zach Garino, and he's going to talk a little bit about the rights-of-way process.
Thanks, Rochelle. Again, my name is Zachary Garino. I'm the project coordinator with the department's Division of Rights-of-Way. Our office is responsible for acquiring the property rights needed for transportation projects. As mentioned in the presentation, this project will require the acquisition of property rights, so I'd like to give a brief overview of our acquisition process. Before I begin, I'd like to mention that the specific impacts are still being finalized and they may change as the design progresses, and that any required property rights will be acquired in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes sections 13A 73 and 13A 98E, as well as the Uniform Act. The right-of-way acquisition process begins once the design has progressed to a development milestone and all the impacts have been determined. At this point, each affected property owner will receive a formal letter of intent to acquire from our office, along with a property map, which depicts the exact property rights to be acquired. On the screen here is an example of a property map that an owner might receive. They'll see the proposed conditions for their property and the areas that are associated with those improvements. Next, our office will determine the fair market value of the property rights which were depicted on the map, which will be used to establish an offer of just compensation. That offer will be sent out to the property owner in writing, and a right-of-way agent will be available to meet with the property owner and explain the project, go over the specific impacts to their property, and explain how the state arrived at its offer. The property owner will be given a reasonable amount of time, typically 30 days, to consider the state's offer and enter into negotiations. When an agreement is reached, the department will prepare all the necessary paperwork to record the deed and property map on the town land records. However, if an agreement cannot be reached, in order to keep on schedule, the department may acquire the necessary property rights to its power of eminent domain. In that event, the state files a notice of condemnation in the Superior Court along with a monetary deposit in the amount of the state's original offer. The owner would have 6 months from that date to file an appeal if they felt that the state's offer was inadequate. Whether or not the owner chooses to appeal, the money deposited in the court is available to be withdrawn by the owner. It's important to note that the state only acquires property rights that are needed for the project. If there are any questions regarding the right-of-way acquisition process, I can answer them after the presentation. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Rochelle. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. So in terms of our project schedule, currently this project is slated to begin in spring of 2026. That is subject to getting all of our permits approved. The construction duration is anticipated to be 20 months. So there are a significant amount of overhead utilities that need to be relocated, which is why we anticipate a little bit longer than a 1-year duration. Our construction cost is $4,360,000. Again, this is 80% federal funds and 20% state funds. So this project is at no cost to the town. One thing that it is important to note is that the cost and schedule are preliminary and they are subject to change. At this time, we will open up the program to a question and answer session. And Andrew, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Rochelle. Great presentation. I would like to thank Rochelle, Tracy Hansen, Mark Burns, and Zach Garino for their very thorough and in-depth presentation on the Voluntown Bridge. As Rochelle stated, I'd like to open it up to Q&A. You can send us your questions by email at dot-flbp@ct.gov. You can call us by phone at 860-594-2020 and leave a voicemail, and we will get back to you within 48 hours. Or if you're on Zoom with us this evening, you can send us a chat we can try and address any questions in this current session. Our Q&A session is open for 2 weeks after tonight's meeting and will conclude March 5th, 2024. So without further ado, anyone in the crowd tonight, please submit any questions you have. We have one from a resident. Does the temporary roadway mean that the intersection will be open to school buses for the entirety of the project?
Yes, that is correct. The temporary bridge is there to accommodate traffic, which does include school buses. So part of the reason why that 14-foot width is nice, a lot of temporary bridges are a little bit narrower. That 14-foot does accommodate school buses, and that has been checked.
Rochelle, we have one other question. The turn that's just west of the Hardica Tree Farm doesn't seem to be able to accommodate tractor trailer trucks. What can be done for that? Would you be able to show us that truck detour that you have?
Yes, I can go back to that. It is going to take me a couple minutes to get back to that slide.
Yeah, because I
Oh.
think, Tracy, so I think if I have the question right, this is the intersection of Shetucket Turnpike and Wiley School Road. So I think they're thinking that you're gonna turn onto Shetucket. But the
Here.
yeah, but the intersection, the detour goes straight through, it doesn't turn onto Shetucket.
Correct.
So if that's the turn that the person was talking about. The question went away, so.
Tim, was your question thoroughly answered? Your satisfaction? Just like to follow up with you quickly before we move on.
Or were you talking about the sharp corner on that road? Because there is a sharp corner over another bridge down on Wiley. But I don't know.
I have not gotten anything in the Q&A portion of our chat box for the presentation at this time, but I believe
The sharp
here,
turn near Hardica's would be taking a left onto Shetucket. Right there, but this detour goes
Oh.
straight.
he's
So
referring to
probably this one.
just west of the tree farm.
Is that west?
This area here.
So that turn.
Let's zoom out a little bit, Rochelle.
Oh. Okay. I was going to try to see if we could take a look at it.
Oh, that is the question, the turning question. Yes.
So one of the things that, it does appear that this is kind of I believe this is the right spot that we're looking at. So we can definitely, ask the designers to take a look at that. If it does turn out to be a problem, this is an area where we could do some additional, temporary pavement to make that an easier turn.
The detours for truck traffic are previously mapped to make sure that they can accommodate the radiuses required for a typical 18-wheeler dimension. We have another question that just came in. When complete, will there be a stop sign on the north side of the bridge? Rochelle, would you be able to answer that for us?
Yes, the intention is that once the bridge is complete, that it will be a three-way intersection and all three ways will have stop signs.
Rochelle, is this project going to cost the town anything?
This project is being funded with federal funds. So that's coming from FHWA, Federal Highway Administration. And that's 80% of what it costs to design and build the project. And then 20% of the money is coming from the state of Connecticut. So there is no town money, being used for the design, the rights-of-way acquisition, or the construction of the project.
Great, thank you very much, Rochelle. If there are any other questions at this time, you're more than welcome to ask. Just please remember again, if you can't access them through Zoom, you can leave us a message at 860-594-2020, or you could email us at dot-flbp@ct.gov. We have another question in. It seems the driveway at 3 North Shore Road will be unusable. Is that correct?
No, that is not correct. The driveway will still be usable after the bridge is built. I'm assuming that this is probably maybe more related to the condition during the temporary, when the temporary bridge is in place. Again, we do have, the roadway here is, very close to the edge of the right-of-way line, but there will still be some area there for in the pink to be used as driveway. So yes, we are going to have a temporary construction easement with some temporary pavement on it, but this pink area will still be usable as a driveway. And I believe when we looked at this, there was about 18 feet here, which is, enough room to park a car, a large truck there.
Thank you, Rochelle. We have another question in. There's a school bus stop at the southwest end of the bridge. Is there any concern the stoplight would affect that bus stop, or vice versa, that the bus stop could cause the sensors to misread any traffic flow during construction?
So there's a school bus stop at the southwest end of the bridge. So we would assume over in this area, correct?
Over the.
Yes, it's at that property.
Okay. And so the concern is that if a bus comes and it stops here, that it's going to create problems with the traffic. That's the concern, because the stop is back here. I think that's actually a really good point, that, if you have a bus that has stopped here, it's triggered the light, and then it pulls into the intersection and it's blocking the roadway, and it takes a while to get somebody on or off the bus, that you might end up with somebody coming across the bridge and running into the school bus that hasn't cleared the intersection. So that is actually a very useful piece of information. So thank you for that question. That is definitely something we will ask the designers to take a look at. It may be that we need to provide some additional, paved areas specifically for the bus to address that particular situation.
Rochelle, what does the driveway reconstruction entail? Will water be diverted away from the driveway areas?
So I guess just as a quick overview, the driveway reconstruction essentially is going to involve, regrading the driveway, replacing any material that was there before, providing a bituminous apron, to that driveway. For this driveway in particular, one of the things we've looked at is to make sure that the slope of the driveway is still sloped from the house and away from the house and down toward the roadway. Where we do have improvements along the roadway for drainage is a little bit further to the west. So in this area right now, this is kind of a swale area that collects water, and there is going to be a catch basin installed, which will divert water across the roadway and out out into the river on this side. If you have more specific questions about that, please feel free to reach out to us and we can talk through that a little bit more.
Rochelle, if I could just add a little bit to that. The standard conduit driveway design keeps the water in the roadway. And so wherever there's a driveway, the paved portion of the driveway that abuts the roadway is going to be designed such that the water stays in the gutter line of the roadway and doesn't go down the driveway. I'm not sure if that was part of the question, but that's how it's going to be designed. Keep the water in the roadway and not go down the driveways.
Thank you, Jeff. We would also like to extend the personal DOT favor, you could say. We appreciate that you took the time tonight to complete the VPIM process with us. We are wondering if you could potentially find a couple of minutes at the end of this presentation to be able to fill out a quick DOT survey. You could find it at https://portals.ct.gov/CTDOT survey. And again, at this time, the Q&A portion of this presentation is still open. So if you have any last minute questions, comments, concerns, we are more than happy to answer anything that we can at this time.
It's Tracy. Is there a way you can put that survey link in the chat?
Absolutely, yes. Rochelle, when is construction estimated to begin?
It's estimated to begin in the spring of 2026. Construction would start with the relocation of the overhead utilities and then the installation of the temporary bridge. After that, it would be followed by the removal of the existing bridge and the construction of the new bridge. That work would be expected to start in the spring of 2026 and continue through the fall of 2026. There would be a winter shutdown. During the winter months, contractors are usually limited in the construction activities they can perform. So after that winter shutdown, construction would begin again in the spring of 2027 and wrap up by the fall of 2027. But again, that is, it is dependent on us getting all of the permits approved that we need to for this project.
Great, thank you very much, Rochelle. At this time, we're going to close down the Q&A session, seeing no other further comments or questions from the public in attendance tonight. I would like to reiterate that you could reach us by email at dot-flbp@ct.gov or leave a message on our DOT answering service at 860-594-2020. This comment period is open for 2 weeks from tonight and will be closing Tuesday, March 5th. So that's 2 weeks from today. We sincerely appreciate the time you took to be able to join us this evening to discuss the Voluntown project. We sincerely appreciate your time and your concern because, again, we are here for you. We're doing our best to design your community around your needs and consider every single comment and concern and design consideration here tonight for the public. So again, Rochelle, Zach, and Mark, we appreciate your presentation very much. Thank you very much. And everyone, enjoy your evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.